Hey guys, I'm Prodigy from Airsoft Team Kilo23. Before we get to the review today, let's go over a few things. Any comments pertaining to I'm First will be removed. Anything about Call of Duty will be removed. Any rude comments will be removed. Anything like that. Any questions that you have, please send them to me via personal message. It's much more convenient, so I don't have to go to the page and answer the question. It's just kind of a hassle for me. So I would really appreciate any questions that you have. Please send them any personal message. Thanks a lot, guys. I really appreciate that. Alright, now on to the review of this quite literally amazing rifle. We have the JG Snowwolf M99 SW-02. It's also known as the Barrett M82A1. This massive guy right here. Yeah, so that thing's pretty cool, right? It's massive, and we'll get to that in a few minutes and cover everything that's really awesome about it. Now trust me, it's literally an amazing, amazing weapon, and I'll go over that in a minute. Now first, let's go over everything the gun came with. Comes with a large type 8.4 volt 1500 milliamp hour nickel metal hydride battery with a mini type Tamiya connector. Now it's kind of strange, a large type battery having a mini type Tamiya connector, but that's just how this gun is designed. The gun has a mini type Tamiya connector, so the battery does too. Could be a plus or minus, but either way I'm going to convert. Well, actually I'm not going to use Dean's on this. I'm just going to use a battery I already have. So this thing is just a spare battery for me. It'll come with a black little cheap Chinese sling. I don't recommend using this. This gun weighs about 13-14 pounds. It's pretty big, so this thing will break on it for sure. It's got little plastic loops here, so just ignore it. Little bag of 0.2 gram Snowwolf 6mm rounds. These are low quality. Really don't recommend using them. Stick with higher grade, heavier ammo for this gun. A wall charger. If you guys are using this gun, you should obviously have a smart charger by now, so this is trash. Go spend the extra money on a smart charger and keep your battery working well. Trust me, it's worth every penny. A massive cleaning rod. This thing is 4 feet long. It is the longest cleaning rod I have ever used. It is huge. And it will come with a couple of posters that are just the Barrett and stuff like that, so these are kind of cool if you're into that. I'm not going to hang them on my wall, but you're welcome to, of course. A 500 round high capacity magazine. Now, this thing's pretty cool. A lot of actual options with this thing, so I'll talk about this later. It's a really great addition to the gun. And of course, the carry handle. Now, this thing is very, very wiggly. It doesn't stay in place at all. So if you're running with this thing on the field, it's going to go everywhere. Now, it is great to have this. I have to admit, I don't want to hold the weapon like a normal rifle all day. It is nice to have a carry handle, but when you're running on the field, if you're going to be running this thing at all, it is going to sling everywhere, and it is going to be loud hitting the side of the gun. Now, last but not least is the manual. This is the most awesome airsoft manual I have ever seen. Better than G&G or any other company. Now, admittedly, the English is not the greatest. It's okay, but it's readable. But this is the only manual I have ever seen that actually gives you detailed guides on how to disassemble the weapon down to the gearbox. How many other weapons do that? Seriously, it does not show you how to take apart the gearbox, which for beginners that's not the greatest thing, but for me it doesn't matter. This thing is seriously amazing. It really helped me out in getting to this thing together and just working on this gun in general. There are a few things I had to check out when I got it just to make sure it was working. This thing was excellent in helping me do all that. Now, the massive bipod on this gun did not come attached to it. There are a couple little screws on either side of this thing. You just have to put those in. It already comes sitting in there with some tape in there, so just screw those in and you're good to go. Pretty easy. Now, because this gun is so monstrous and huge and about 5 feet long, I'm going to just put this on the table and we're going to review every section of it individually. Because, frankly, this thing hardly fits in my camera frame. So, let's go ahead and do that. So first of all, let me get a couple things out of the way. This is not a 1:1 scale rifle. It does not have the rear monopod. It doesn't have all the whistles and bells that the SOCOM gear version or the real thing does. You're only paying $280 for this, and that's at airsplat.com where I got this thing. So, yeah, it's not the most amazing gun, but it's a clone rifle, so you kind of got to get used to that idea. It's a Barrett. It's only $280. You're not paying the $1,200 for the SOCOM gear version. Now we can start off with the aft end of the rifle. Well, kind of aft. This thing is so massive, the back half is technically the aft, but this is like the little 1/4 of the aft section kind of thing here. So this is where the battery should be stored. Now to remove the back plate, which is rubberized, which is pretty nice, you have to remove the 2 silver pins here. Yeah, those little guys right there. But I'm at kind of a loss here. You can take off the top longer pin and slide the entire top of the weapon and the barrel forward and reveal the battery compartment, which I find to be much easier than taking off both pins and taking off the back, because the entire top of the weapon can slide forward and give you access to the entire battery compartment and the gearbox. So I'm at a little bit of a loss there. I'm not sure why JG made it this way, but that's just how it is. It's much easier to remove the back pin and gain access to the entire battery compartment from the top than take off the back plate and actually just slide your battery in. Back here you have a rear sling loop. It's on the right side of the weapon, the one on the front is on the left. So however that works, you decide. Moving up the weapon a little bit, we have the actual pistol grip and everything here. Just like an M4 M16 style pistol grip. Same controls, same everything like that. It does have a Tokyo Marui style pistol grip, so you can replace this if you want. Just go buy any other pistol grip that fits on a standard TM style rifle. Now on the left side of the weapon, you have your selector switch. And that's just like any M4 M16, semi-safe and full auto. Now there are 2 things I didn't like about the selector, which is kind of a big deal for me. First of all, it does have a fully automatic mode, so this gun can fire in full auto. So that's completely pointless for a Barrett. Full auto would rip your shoulder apart, so I'm not sure why you'd want to do that. But this gun does have a 500 round mag. If you really needed to go to full auto just to take out a bunch of guys, you could. So that's kind of a drawback for me, I guess. Also, the selector switch is plastic as far as I can tell, so that's kind of a weird thing. If you're totally against plastic selector switches, you might want to replace this with a metal one. Those are only like 10 or 15 bucks, so not too much. Now this here's the magazine. It takes a standard short type M16 high capacity magazine internal, so it can hold a load of ammo. It's got a lot of room in there for ammo, about 500 rounds. Now the interesting thing is it has the same internal workings as any other short M16 magazine. So if you wanted to take a mid-capacity magazine's internals and put it in here, you could have a mid-capacity magazine for your Barrett, which is pretty cool. So I've got our G&P M16 mag just beside it, just kind of give you an idea of what a mid-cap looks like compared to a high cap in this thing. You could have your 110, 120 round mid-capacity magazine, or you can have your 500 round high cap. Now, if you don't know how to use a high-capacity magazine, then you probably shouldn't be playing Airsoft. But pretty easy. Open the trap door, load your ammo, then wind your dial on the bottom. Now, the weirdest thing about the dial is it's way in the back, and it's pretty small for a high-capacity magazine dial. I had to actually really kind of search with my hand to find this thing because I just could not find it for the world. It was really strange. I was holding this thing, I was just holding it to my shoulder upright, and I couldn't find it. It's like, where is it? Where is it? And I kept searching and searching. It's like, oh, there it is. It took me a few seconds to find it because it's so far back on the magazine. Now to actually install the magazine, it's pretty much like an AK style. You put the front of the magazine in first. You got to find the lip that it catches on there. Put that in, and you swivel it in, go till it clicks, or else it's not in all the way. This thing has 0 magazine wobble. It's very solid, just like the real thing. It doesn't wobble whatsoever. The release is right here. Press that forward. It's pretty stiff also once the magazine's in. And it simply rolls out just like you inserted it. Pretty easy. Now the bolt on this thing is pretty cool. It's really massive. It really doesn't wobble that much, that's nice. You can pull it back, sadly not all the way, it's about halfway. But it's an airsoft gun, so what do you expect? In here you have your version 2 hop-up, just like any M4, M16. And you can slam it forward, it's got a pretty satisfying spring behind it. Now let's just look at the internals of the gun for a second. You can see the version 2 gearbox on the left there, and the hop-up in the middle. It's got a standard version 2 gearbox, just like any M4, M16, long type motor, all that stuff. So this is compatible with just about any TM upgrade. So that's great. You got upgrades everywhere for this thing if you want to get them. This little guy was in the box. This is the spring that goes in front of the hop-up. Now I noticed that the hop-up itself is very, very tight. It doesn't wiggle around at all. It doesn't really need a spring, but I was a little concerned when this was in the box. So that was kind of a weird thing right there. Now on top of this thing, you have like this 2.5 foot long monolithic rail. It's excellent. You can mount pretty much anything you want on here. You could probably mount 2.5 scopes on this thing. It's pretty long. So you have real estate for just about anything you want to mount on here. The bipod itself sits on 2 hinges on the front. These are not installed when you get the gun, so you have to actually screw these in yourself. Really easy. Now to actually swivel the bipod legs forward, it's pretty easy. Just pull down and swivel them forward. They wobble around everywhere, but that's not that big of a deal. Pretty easy to work with. Now to extend the feet, simply pull them forward. Now to retract them, you gotta push this button in and push it back. Now obviously this thing has a monstrous barrel and orange tip. It's really, really long. The barrel here that sticks out of the front end of the gun is about 2 feet long. That's longer than the real thing, but that's okay. It's a clone Barrett. Let's just roll with it. Now the inner barrel extends pretty far. It's got a 650mm inner barrel. That's as long as you can get stock. You can get custom ones made by like places like EDGI. He makes up to 800mm barrels at a 5.98 bore. So you could go with that, but that's a $150 barrel right there, so that's expensive. I think personally, just to save some money, I'm going to stick with the stock 650mm length and go get like a 6.01 or something. The flash hider itself has a little bit of texture, it's all plastic, and it's orange. So that's not the greatest thing, but hey, that's nothing a bottle of spray paint can't fix, right? Now everywhere where I said 500 round high cap magazine in this, forgive me, it's a standard M16 style mag. It only holds about 190 rounds. Now let's go ahead and chrono the gun with 0.2 gram rounds. Yeah, you heard me, 0.2s this time. So this gun shot anywhere from about 370 to 400 feet per second. That's alright if you want to keep it on just a low-level AEG kind of fire, but this thing is so heavily upgradable, you could really get it shooting up there to 600 feet per second without a problem. Now, I don't quite believe I'm doing this, but let's do it anyway. This is the rate of fire. As you can see there, it's getting a pretty consistent 9 to 10 rounds a second. Not really the greatest rate of fire, but it's on the stock 8.4 volt battery. So when I think about this gun as an airsoft gun, I think of it as a base to upgrade on. This obviously isn't the most amazing performing gun stock, but because it has a version 2 gearbox, standard version 2 M16 hop-up, whatever, and a 650mm barrel with a load of room to improve on, you could make this weapon a very formidable gun on the field. It only weighs about 13 or 14 pounds. It's like half the weight of the real Barrett M82A1. So if you want to get this thing for $280, dump another 300 upgrades in it, you could have this thing shooting beautifully. It could outrange any sniper. It's simply got the potential to be a very beautiful weapon. And for $280 on airsplat.com, it's a bargain. Now, if you're curious about the range and accuracy tests and the internal reports and all that stuff, just wait. That's going to be on the airsplat.com page on YouTube, so go check that out. And also on Inside the Mech Box, they'll be upgrading the heck out of this thing, so it's going to be a load of fun. Check out the stock performance later on and the internals, and I'll show you how to throw parts in there, whatever parts we decide to throw in there, and then I'll show you the results with those. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Prodigy from Airsoft Team Kilo23. That's pretty sweet, right? I'm signing off. Later, guys. Thanks for watching.